I just wanted to introduce my great friend Todd Sylvester here that I had an opportunity to speak on stage with, and the guy has a heart of gold. And so, I always say that my mother named me Jeffrey, but my friends call me Griff, and I consider Todd one of my friends. And before he jumps on here, he wanted me to share this video with you. So give me a thumbs up once we turn it on here. And give me a thumbs up if you can hear it, but I'm pretty sure you will be able to. Here we go.
Hi, I know how to take my prosthetic off.
Let's see. Good job. Do you want to show them how you can put it back on?
Yes. This is how I put my leg on. Sock first. And this.
What's that called?
A temporary leg.
Oh, yeah, you have a temporary on right now, but is that a sleeve?
That's it.
Do you need help?
No, I got it.
Okay, put it on. Good job. And then another sock.
Kind of wobblies. This is how I jump. 1 second. Turn it, turn it, turn it. Do you want me to show you some dance moves?
Todd, it's all you, brother.
Thanks, Griff, and thanks everyone for tuning in today. It's an honor to be here, and I was so grateful to be invited to this. The reason why I showed you that video, guys, there's a couple reasons actually. Number one, I believe people are astonishing, and I don't say that to be nice. I say that because it's fact. And when you look at this little girl and her attitude towards having a prosthetic leg, the main reason why I showed this to you guys is that girl is you, meaning that positivity, that belief, that joy of life, if you will, it's built in our DNA. And a lot of times when I ask the question, if I was to ask all of you, do you think people are astonishing? You guys are going to say yes. And then if I throw that back onto you, well, then what does that mean about you? Because if people are astonishing, that means so are you. But a lot of times when we think of ourselves as astonishing, that's where we get backed up. And that's where our story changes. And so I'm going to talk about something very important today, stuff that I've learned, a little more background on me that I think will be important. I was an alcoholic and drug addict for 10 years and lost a basketball scholarship because of what I went through. And when that happened, I decided I was going to end my life. And I was getting ready to do it, actually. I had it all planned out, getting ready to do it. And I had a miracle happen that changed the course of my life. And in that moment, guys, is when I decided I was going to dedicate my life to helping other people. And I've been doing that now for 36 years. So I've been 36 years clean from alcohol and drugs. So I'm very thankful for that. And I've worked with clients in that time frame. I've done a lot of speaking, as Griff mentioned before. And I've learned so much from my clients, some very powerful truths. And first and foremost is this: the most powerful force in the human psyche is the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. And I want to repeat that because it's so important. The most powerful force in the human psyche, which is the mind, spirit, and soul, is the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. So you think of that little cute girl, the story she has about herself currently, right? Is it's beautiful. It's life is good. I'm good. And we all have that when we were that size, to be quite honest with you. But as life goes on, we all go through this period of forgetting all that goodness. Some worse than others, depending on what we've been through. Some go through addiction, some go through trauma, some go through, parents' divorce, some very traumatic things that sometimes we go through. And so, my job today is to help, I guess, remind you of how powerful and amazing and astonishing you guys are. So, with that said, I want to share a story of a guy His name's Chad Foster. He wrote this book that you can see on your screen there called Blind Ambition, and the subtitle is How to Go from Victim to Visionary. So I want to tell you a little bit about Chad. Chad, when he was in high school, he came down with a rare eye disease. And by the time he was 20 years old, he went completely blind. So, guys, there's a lot of challenges in life, but that would be a tough one. I mean, to be able to see, up until that point, and then all of a sudden, complete darkness. Uh, he couldn't even see shadows at this point. So here he is, 20 years old, completely blind, and he would do what we would all do. He got depressed. He was sad. He was mad at God. He was angry. He thought something, he must be a bad person, so he's being cursed. And he went through months and months of severe depression to the point where he was planning on and thinking about ending his life as well. And then as he's telling me this story, he says to me, Todd, he goes, I had this epiphany. He said, I realized I could live another 50, 60 years on this planet. And he goes, that's a long time for me to be bitter. And then he goes, Todd, I realize I can change the story on why I went blind. Current story was, I must be a bad person. God must hate me. This is just my luck. I'm a miserable person. Life is horrible. That was the current narrative. And then he goes, I realized I needed to change the story of why I went blind. And here's what he changed it to, guys. He said, I, Chad Foster, am one of the rare few on this planet that is strong enough and powerful enough to overcome this so I can help other people. And I looked at him and I said, wow, that's a new powerful narrative. And he goes, Todd, he goes, I'm now happier because of that new story. And I said, so you're happier that you're blind? He says, yes, I'm happier that you're blind. And I kept challenging. I'm like, dude, I don't really, are you really happier? Come on. He goes, I can see better now that I'm blind. And I was like, wow. And then I asked him, why is helping other people so important to you? He says, it makes going blind worth it. And I was like, wow. And I mean, I'm choking up even telling you this because I could not believe what I was hearing. And I was just like, man, it's amazing. And so this guy, just by changing the story that he was telling himself about himself, he went on. He's now a world-renowned motivational speaker. He's actually written another book. He's now married. He has kids. He told me he learned how to ski after he was blind. And I said, "Well, how did you do that?" And he said, "Well, there's a guy behind me. We both have a helmet on, and we can talk back and forth. And he's telling me turn left, turn right." And he said the first time they tried it, he ran into a tree and separated his shoulder. And then he said something funny. He goes, black diamonds don't scare me. And I said, why? He goes, well, I can't see them. I said, oh, that's a good point. And so anyway, Chad Foster is living proof that the most powerful force in the human psyche is the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. So again, that's kind of the theme of today's talk, I guess, with you guys. Um, I've been doing this a long time, and I work with a lot of people who are in really bad shape when I meet them. A lot of them have just left prison, or they're shooting up heroin. They're smoking or snorting meth. They've got family issues. They've got divorce, abuse, you name it. I've worked with some really, really difficult clients who are in really bad spot. And I always tell them, you don't have an alcohol problem, you don't have a drug problem, you have a thinking problem. And that's really what's going on here is that their story has changed about what they tell themselves, and that's what's keeping them miserable. And so I'd like to share with you guys, in my experience in 36 years, the three most common limiting beliefs that I hear from my clients. And I want you to ask yourselves if you guys can relate with any of these three, or if not, with all three. Because I know when I hear these, I can relate with them because I went through the same thing. So the number one limiting belief that I hear from my clients is this one: I'm not good enough. And if you ask yourself, have you ever dealt with that yourself? I mean, you guys are going to say, yeah, there's been a point in my life where I believed I wasn't good enough. Some of you right now might be even thinking that even currently. Um, the second one that I hear most common is this one. I'm different, so I can't connect. My story is so different. People don't understand me. People don't get me. And therefore, no one's going to understand what I'm going through. So I hear that one a lot. And then the last one I hear is this one. Something's ultimately wrong with me. I'm broken, right? I hear this more often than not. So those three limiting beliefs, guys, are the foundation of the story that these clients of mine are telling themselves. And again, I bet most of you can relate with them on some level, maybe as you were growing up, maybe, like I said, maybe even currently right now. That's something I wrestled with, those three. And there's times where those things rear their ugly head in my life again. And I have to try to remind myself of who I truly am. And so I point those out because, again, our goal is to change that. Chad Foster initially thought those things, I must be a bad person. That's why I went blind. But therefore, he realized that story is what was keeping him stuck, keeping him depressed, and not moving forward in life. And so, with that, if I flip that, there's three life-changing beliefs that I like to share with my clients. And I'd like to go into detail on these three, okay? And I'm going to go through them quickly and then we're going to walk back through them. The first one is I'm powerful beyond measure. Second one is I'm a masterful creator. And the third one is I have the dignity to choose. Because every time we choose, guys, we create. And in that process, we're very powerful. I think we take that gift of choice for granted. It is one of the most powerful things that we possess. And those choices and that ability to do that can build up heavenly mansions of love, joy, and peace in our life, or it can forge the weapons that will destroy us. I really do believe that choice is the ultimate power. Okay. So let's walk you through this. So um, we have the dignity to choose, and dignity means we're worthy. So we are all worthy of this amazing gift of choice. And I see it every day with my clients that they have the choice to show up, they have the choice to make a difference, they have a choice to change their narrative. And just like Chad Foster, he had this choice to change the way he thought and believed about what he was going through. And in that, if you look at masterful creator, if I was to ask you guys, what's the definition of master? Okay. Typically, what I hear is master is um, you're at the best at what you do. You've done it for so long that you've become the expert, the master of it, right? But the definition I want to point out that I like to use is master means to be in control, right? So you guys all remember and have heard stories about Bruce Lee, right? He was considered the master at Kung Fu. But when I studied his life, there was stories where he's getting ready to fight his opponent, and his opponent would spit in his face, and his heart rate would stay the same. Now, can you even imagine, guys? I think that's the worst thing you could do to a human being is spit in someone's face. And they would say his heart rate would stay the same, right? They would yell racial slurs in his face, heart rate would stay the same. And then he would tie him up in a pretzel when they would do their match, right? And so, really, as I've studied him, is Bruce Lee wasn't a master at Kung Fu. He was the master at controlling himself. And therefore, that made him the best at Kung Fu, right? So, again, I really believe we all have that ability to become the master of ourselves. I mean, this is right. Griff puts this, VIP class together is to help us all become the master of ourselves. And just because I'm saying this doesn't mean I'm the master. I'm working on this every day, but I am getting better. I will tell you that I'm getting better every day. I love that phrase, 1% better every day, right? And that's the goal. And I think, we'll never be perfect, but I do think we can master certain areas of our life that will truly set us apart. Okay. And then the last but not least, powerful beyond measure. And again, that's a very bold statement to tell us that we're powerful beyond measure. But if you look at that, remember that beautiful girl with the prosthetic leg. I look at that and I'm like, that is powerful beyond measure. But what I love about it, again, it's a reminder that it's built in our DNA to have this power in us. I witnessed that when I watched Griff on stage with me and watched what he did. It blew my mind to watch him stand and then walk over to me. To this day, I still get chills when I think about that. But I want to share another hero of mine. And many of you may have heard this story, but this girl's name is JC Dugard. And I'm not sure how many of you have heard of this girl before. If you haven't, this will be a good reminder. So this is a true story. JC Dugard, when she was 11 years old, she was walking to a bus stop in Lake Tahoe, California on a beautiful sunny day to go get on the bus and head off to school. As she's walking to the bus stop, a sexual predator and his wife pull up alongside of her in their car and they hit her with a stun gun. And this poor girl falls down paralyzed. They pick her up, throw her in the back seat, and the wife of the sexual predator holds her down in the back seat so she can't see where they're going. And JC, this poor 11-year-old girl, can hear the guy in the front seat, the sexual predator, saying back to his wife, laughing, saying, I can't believe we just got away with this. Again, can you imagine what's going through the mind of this 11-year-old girl, right? We can't even imagine the horror she must have been feeling. Well, they drive 150 miles away where they lived. Okay. When they get there, they take her in the back area of their property. They had this shed that was kind of hidden, covered with some trees and stuff. And they strip this poor girl naked and handcuff her inside the shed. Again, can you guys even imagine what's going through the mind of this poor little girl, right? Well, I would imagine, guys, one of the thoughts that raced through her mind was, how long is this going to last? Well, she was in that shed for 18 years, and this sexual predator viciously raped her the entire time. So, on a complete fluke, about 20 years ago, the authorities find her. And when they find her, she's still in the shed, and she's now 29 years old. She had given birth to two little girls in the shed. She actually had one friend in the shed. It was a spider up in the corner that she named Bianca, that she would sit and look up and talk to this spider. I mean, imagine those conversations. Like, what's this little girl telling this spider, right? Well, again, when the authorities find her, it became national news. And this is about 20 plus years ago. That's when I first heard the story. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't even calculate it in my head, someone actually going through that. Well, since then, she had written two books. One's called A Stolen Life, the other one's Freedom. I've read them both. And again, I couldn't believe what I was reading. Well, about 6 years ago, guys, I'm thumbing through my stations on TV and I come across the show 2020. And there's Diane Sawyer interviewing JC Dugard. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's JC. So now I'm like, I'm locked in. And I start watching this interview. And guys, I could not believe what I was experiencing. I'm looking at this girl and she's laughing. She's talking about what happened to her. She's smiling. And I'm sitting there in my own head, guys. I'm going, how is this woman functioning after what she'd been through? How can she even smile, right? And then she starts talking about what she's doing. She learned to drive a car. She had never done that because she didn't have the opportunity. She's raising those two little girls as her own. She travels the country now and trains other therapists on how to help their uh, therapists help their clients who've been kidnapped. She's doing all these amazing things. She speaks all over the world now. And again, I'm sitting there, how is this woman functioning? And then she says this, guys. She says, or Diane Sawyer asked her this question. Do you hate the guy that did this to you? And guys, I'm yelling at my TV screen. I'm going, I hate him, right? I got three girls of my own. I got a granddaughter of my own. I'm thinking, I can't imagine this happening to one of my kids. And I'm going, man, I hate him. Guess what she says? She says to Diane, she goes, no, I don't hate him. She goes, if I hated him, I'd still be metaphorically stuck in that shed. And I was like, wow. And then she says this, and this is why she's my hero. She says, I choose not to wallow in self pity. I was like, what? I actually rewound my TV. What did she just say? I choose not to wallow in self pity. Now, guys, if I was watching this interview and JC was an alcoholic, drug addict, train wreck, suicidal, we'd all give her a pass. Like none of us would even judge her for that. We're like, yeah, who wouldn't be? Guys, she's none of that. She is none of those things. And then she was asked this one final question. If you could go back and change this, would you? And I'm thinking, okay, for sure. She lost her whole childhood. She says, no, I wouldn't change a thing. She goes, I wouldn't wish to go through it again. I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but I would not change it because what I went through, I get to help millions of sexually abused women all over the world. I was like, what? So, guys, first of all, that's astonishing, right? But let's go back to those three life-changing principles. We have the dignity, which is we're worthy to choose. We're masterful creators, which makes us powerful beyond measure. If you look at JC's story, you look at anyone's story, you look at Griff's story, you make a choice, you start becoming the master of who you are. And when you do that, you are powerful. And I don't say that lightly. I look at JC Dugard. She's one of a million examples I could give you. Chad Foster, another example of someone who made a decision, started mastering themselves by changing their story, and they become this powerful force in this world. And guys, can you imagine if our loved ones taught us this when we were little, right? That, hey, you're going to go through a lot of tough times, and but it's going to be the greatest thing that ever happened to you. I believe that our trials, guys, didn't come to punish us, but to awaken us. And you might say, well, awaken us to what? And I think it's awaken us to the greatness that's in us. A little more background on me that I think will be important. I took my first sip of alcohol when I was 11 years old. No 11-year-old should be doing that, right? And I'll be honest with you, I fell in love with it. And that's what opened up 10 years of, drug addiction and blowing up my life. But I want to tell you guys that I am grateful for that drink at 11. Now, I know I'm one of the lucky ones. I mean, I overdosed several times. I should have died. I've had several friends, several family members who have died because of drugs and alcohol, because of suicide. Uh, so I understand that I'm one of the lucky ones. But I am so grateful for that drink at 11. You guys want to know why? Because it led to this moment today with you. Think about everything you've been through in your life actually led to this moment. It led to this moment. And when I really think of this, if as I took that drink at 11, if I would have known right then, okay, Todd, you're going to go through 10 years of hell, but yet you're going to be in a position 36 years something later, 40 years later, whatever it was, that I get to talk to you guys and hopefully maybe share something that may change their life. And I wouldn't have believed it. But I really do believe this moment was meant to be. I really do. Um, you might, I don't know, maybe disagree with most of what I'm saying. I don't know. But maybe there's one thing you can take away from this. And maybe like, Griff and I were talking before we went live about how you feel. If hopefully you can feel that you do actually matter. And those life-changing beliefs will directly combat those three limiting beliefs of that I'm not good enough, I'm different, so I can't connect, and ultimately there's something wrong with me. And so I want to share a couple more things along those lines. Um, when I meet with a client for the very first time, and there's going to be a couple things here, and then I'm going to have you guys write a few things down on your end, if you will, if you can, or at least record them into your phone. Um, when I meet with a client, they are in despair on day one. Okay. They are, family has written them off typically. They usually have a bunch of charges hanging over their head. They are usually to the point where they just don't want to be here anymore. And it's 100% of the time that's the client typically I face on day one. And so they come looking for an answer from me, right? Supposedly the expert here. And what's so cool is I guess I am the expert in the sense that I have learned from my clients what works and doesn't work. And so I'm just sharing back what I have learned in this experience, going back and forth with my clients and obviously from my own experiences. And there's a couple things I want to share with you guys. And so I usually have my clients write down this statement. And if you'd like to write it down yourself, this would be great. I am what I repeatedly do. I just have them write that down. I am what I repeatedly do. And I'll ask the client, do you believe that? And they will say, yeah, yeah, ultimately, I think I do believe I am what I repeatedly do. I said, good, because it's true. And then I have them write down these four bedrock principles. Number one is be honest. Okay. And next to honest, I have them write a little dash and then I have them put kills bad behavior. Now I'm going to walk you through this here in a minute, but I'm going to go through them now. So be honest, kills bad behavior. Number two, have integrity. And then next to integrity, I have them write nothing else matters. So again, have integrity, nothing else matters. Number three, be accountable. And next to accountable, I have them write suffering stops. Okay, be accountable, suffering stops. And then number four, last but not least, help someone. And then next to someone put give it away. All right. And then if you guys want to also skip a line where you're writing and put success equals. Okay, now I'm going to walk you back through this, okay, guys? So if it's true that we are what we repeatedly do, we better be careful on what we repeatedly do, right? So number one, be honest. Okay. This is, I learned this from my mentors in my life who took me under their wing when I was in the height of my addiction. I didn't have a drinking problem. I didn't have a drug problem. Ultimately, I had a thinking problem. And one of the biggest problems with that, I was lying to everybody. I lied to everyone. And even when I quit doing drugs and alcohol after 10 years, I continued to lie. It just became a part of what I was always kind of what I was doing, excuse me. And so I had to work on it. So guys, to your core, every one of you, including me, we were born honest. It's in our DNA, right? We learn to lie. Okay. So think about this. To our core, if you guys can see on the screen, that's our core. Over here is the bad behavior, whether it's drugs or alcohol or whether it's, manipulating, whether it's whatever that behavior may be, right? Well, how does a good person, which everyone on this call, you guys are good people, how does a good person bridge the gap and come over here to this bad behavior? We have to lie to ourselves to go there. And for the clients I deal with, like drug addicts and alcoholics, they have to lie to go back to drinking. They have to lie to go pop the pill. They have to lie to go smoke this. And that lie is what keeps them in that cycle. But if we stop lying to ourselves, guess what? The bad behavior stops. It doesn't maybe happen immediately, but boy, I'll tell you, it's a miracle almost to watch it happen. So it's like, just be honest with ourselves, right? I actually had a client before our session here with you guys today. This was our very first session. I walked him through this. He couldn't believe it. He goes, that's the answer, isn't it? I'm like, yeah. So be honest, kills bad behavior. Number two, have integrity. You guys probably know what that means, but I'll emphasize it. Integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking, right? It's being the same person in every room you walk into, right? If you have integrity, nothing else matters. If you don't have integrity, nothing else matters. It's truly is everything. Who am I when no one's looking? Who am I when I'm not with you guys? Do I hang up this call with you guys and go out and be something completely different than what I'm telling you? You know, I had a mentor 30 years ago when I told him here's what I want to do. I want to speak to people. I want to write a book. I want to, individually coach. And he said, "That's wonderful, Todd." He goes, "You know what the hardest thing for you to do if that's what you want to do?" And I'm like, "What?" He said, "Practice what you preach." And I was like, and I understood what he meant, but boy, I was taken back a little bit. And I realized early on, I'm telling these groups of people or individual clients to do all these things, but I wasn't doing it myself. I was lacking integrity. And boy, he taught me such a powerful lesson. And thankfully, he took me under his wing. And I can honestly look all of you guys in the eye and say, I do practice what I preach. Again, not perfect, but I'm really good at it because I've really dedicated my life to make sure I would never tell you guys to do something that I don't do. Okay, number three, be accountable. The opposite of accountability is playing the victim. Guys, if there is a disease out there in the recovery world, it's victim stance. It will keep you stuck more than anything. I'll never forget this, and I got to tell you a really quick, cool story. When I was meeting with my mentor early on, I'm relapsing all the time. I'll go a couple days and I'm drinking again, go a couple days, I'm popping a pill, going a couple days, I'm stealing money from so and so. And I come in crying to my mentor and I'm blaming my dad for my alcoholism. And I had 10 good reasons, guys. And if I told you the 10 reasons why I blamed my dad, you'd be like, yeah, I get why you blame your dad. And this is true story. I couldn't do this. I couldn't get away with this myself now. My mentor leans over in our session and slaps me in the face. Like literally slaps me. Not hard, but hard enough to like get my attention, obviously. And my first thought was I wanted to punch him in the face. And then he looks at me, guys, and he said, "When are you going to finally take accountability, Todd, and quit blaming your dad?" And guys, I just started to cry. And that's when I realized that's my problem is I keep blaming my dad. And I had great reasons. But I tell you, that's what kept me stuck. Look at JC Dugard. When she was asked, "Do you hate the guy that did this to you?" She says no, because she realized that would keep her stuck the rest of her life. She took accountability. So, guys, here's the beautiful thing. When we take accountability for our lives, our suffering stops. JC Dugard's suffering stopped. Chad Foster's suffering stopped, right? My suffering stopped when I finally took accountability and stopped blaming my dad. It was amazing. Okay, fourth one, last but not least, help someone, give it away. There's a beautiful principle. We give and then we get. It's not the other way around. If I want to have abundance in my life, I'm going to give $10 to the person that only has five, and then I'll get it back tenfold. If I want love in my life, I'm going to go give away love. I'll get it back tenfold. If I want to have respect from others, I'm going to go give respect to others and I'll get it back tenfold. It's such a beautiful principle. You give to get. Now, think about this, guys. If we are what we repeatedly do and we're honest, we have integrity, we're accountable, and we help people, guys, that is the answer, at least with my clients, to overcoming addiction. There it is. It's as simple as that. That client I told you I met with this morning, first session, shared those four things. I go, there's your answer. The dude started crying. He's been to 9 treatment centers. He's never heard it said that way. I said, there's your answer. Stand on that foundation, dude, and you will not blow up your life again. And the dude cried his eyes out. This grown man cried, saying, "Thank you for finally telling me what I've been wanting to hear for a decade now." And then I had him read this quote up on my wall. It's not the one back here, but it's over here. But here's what it says. The most delightful surprise in life is to suddenly recognize there's nothing wrong with you. I had him read that out loud. And I go, has anyone ever told you that? He's like, never. I said, well, I'm telling you because it's the truth. So, guys, if we are what we repeatedly do, excellence is not an act, but a habit. When we do those four things, we are in the act of excellence. And what's so cool about this, I think there's many blessings that offshoot of those four principles. First and foremost is it helps us reshape the narrative or the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. You know how good it is or how good it feels to be honest, how good it feels to have integrity, how good it feels to take accountability and especially to help others. It feels amazing. There's no drug on the planet that can give you that. You know, I had a client share this with me, and I put it to my memory. And here's what he said. I tried to find myself I could not see. I tried to find my God eluded me. I tried to find my brother, I found all three. And I thought, dang, that's where it's at, guys. That is the magic sauce. Okay, full circle. We talked about the narrative. Okay. I want to just let's see how much time we got here. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna share some action items for you guys to start applying into your life because again, we don't change by hearing, we change by doing. So I want to give you some practical things that you guys can do on an individual basis, and I'm going to ask you to get vulnerable. Vulnerability is a really powerful thing. Vulnerability is about telling yourself the truth first. That makes sense? That's what vulnerable means. It's about really looking yourself in the mirror. And here's the things I need to change. So, this is about, we're going to call this reshaping your narrative in a powerful way. Here's the thing I want you to do. Each one of you, when you get some time over the next couple days, find a time, like an hour where you can, shut off the world for a minute. And here's the vulnerable part. I want you guys to make a list and write down all the negative things you tell yourself. Now, guys, this is stuff we don't like to admit. This is more on a subconscious level. Even go back to your childhood. Are there some things that you tell yourself as a child that still resonate today? Like I used to think I looked funny as a kid because I was so skinny. People would make fun of me, you name it. And I'll tell you, it took me decades to overcome that belief system. But I didn't tell people that. I acted like, no, everything's good. Everything, I put on the mask. So guys, take off the mask and get really, really vulnerable. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I suck. I'm stupid. I be vulnerable with this list because we all have one. Okay. So you're going to write down all the negative things you tell yourself. Again, it's not a fun assignment, but it's necessary if you really want to change the narrative. Okay. Once you got that list, maybe in another column, you're going to write down, you're going to flip it, that narrative or that negative statement, you're going to flip it and add your name. So for instance, if the first one says I'm stupid, on the positive side, you're going to say, I would say I, Todd, am brilliant, or I, Jeff, am brilliant, or I, Jeff, am intelligent, right? So you flip it and add your name. And let me tell you why adding your name is important. Sports science has now proven that when you say something out loud, it's 10 times more powerful than if you think it. If you say something negative out loud, it's 4 to the 7 times the multiple of the 10. So it's very important we say something positive. Then they say if you add your name to something positive out loud, it's 10 times more impressionable on your self-image than without saying your name. So if you looked in the mirror and say, I am brilliant, that's a good thing to say about yourself, right? But if you look in the mirror and add your name, I, Todd, am brilliant, subconsciously, it's 10 times more impressionable on your self-image. So adding your name is important. So you're gonna have the negative list and then the positive list, if you will, with flipping it and adding your name. Okay. Once you got the positive narrative, if you will, the positive list, my challenge to you would be to read that out loud 4 times a day. Okay. Now, again, a lot of people, when you think of affirmations, everyone kind of rolls their eyes. Oh, great, positive affirmations, right? And I get it. But I'm telling you, positive affirmations isn't the final answer, but it's a start. Okay. But you're not just going to say the positive affirmation, if you will. You're going to say it with feeling, right? We talk about the power of feeling. You got to feel it. So when I like, for instance, my one of my biggest things, I told you I was lying all the time, but I wanted to change that behavior. So I had to change my narrative. I had to start saying, I taught him honest, I taught him honest. And I would sit in front of the mirror and say it 100 times with conviction, like I really believed it, right? So you say it with feeling. Then here's the powerful part. And I'm going to send this to Griff. He can get it out to all you guys. I have this broken down in a beautiful document that you guys can all have as well. But you're going to then spend some time visualizing yourself doing the very things you just said. So, for instance, the example, if I'm telling myself I'm honest, I would close my eyes for a few minutes and I would visualize my day being honest with my friends, with my family. If I found some money on the ground, I'm going to give it to its rightful owner. I'm going to be honest in everything that I can do. So I say it, feel it, visualize it. Now I got to go out and be honest. Now I got to go live my day, right? I'm going to go do my best to being honest. And then the last part of this, at the end of the day, in a notebook or a journal, I'm going to write down where's the proof I was honest, right? Confidence without evidence is delusion. That's Alex Hormozy. He said, confidence without evidence is delusion. You need to build up a stack of evidence. You are who you say you are. So I had to build some evidence and I had to see it myself that I actually was being honest, right? That's where the magic happens, guys. That's where the narrative starts to shift. I said it, felt it, visualized it. I went out and be it. And then I reflected. Where's the proof I was that person today? Guys, I've been doing this exercise with my clients for over 18, excuse me, 30, 18,000 sessions, 30 years later. I'm telling you, it's time tested, and I can look you all in the eye. It works. It changed my life. Chad Foster did the same thing. When you study JC Dugard's life, she did it. Elizabeth Smart, I've had her on my show. She did the same thing, guys. She had to convince herself she wasn't broken despite what this guy did to her. People are astonishing, and so are you. Remember that. There's not a dang thing wrong with you other than the story we tell ourselves. So our goal is let's reshape the story. That's the beauty. We get to choose. We have the dignity to choose that. We can master that and create that in our lives, which makes us very, very powerful. So, guys, I know that's a lot. I threw a lot at you. I threw out some principles. I threw out some things, action items. If you'll put it to the test, I promise you, you will see the result, right? You've heard this quote because it's very popular nowadays. It's by Dipin Parmar. The magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. If you put in the work, you'll get the magic. I promise you. If you avoid it, if you're like, oh yeah, I don't need this, fine, and maybe you don't. More power to you. But man, I need it. I'll tell you that. My clients need it. And I just think, man, we all have our battles, we all have our struggles. But I do want to say that I do love you guys. I don't know you, but I know what you've gone through. I know what it feels like to feel alone. I know what it feels like to feel lost. I know what it feels like to not be enough, at least in our own minds, right? I know what that feels like. And those lies are keeping us stuck, man. So anyway, um, man, I got a lot more I could share, but time is coming up. I'd like to open it up, if it's okay, Griff, to some questions. If some people have some questions, I'm going to put on my glasses so I can maybe see them. I don't know if you're going to type them in or if you want to share them out loud.
By the way, Todd, thank you so much. My son taught me early on in his life. He was 2 years old. He's like, Dad, there's a long hour and a short hour. And I'm like, wow, that's so brilliant. I'm like, that is so true. And so I asked my son, I'm like, I wanted to know from a 2 year old. I'm like, well, son, what's a long hour? Without hesitating, he said church. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, okay, well, what's a short hour? And he's like, Pokemon. I'm like, okay, I get this. Todd, this has been a short hour for me. Hopefully, it's been a short hour for everyone else who's been listening as well. And again, this is going to go out there to where people can repeat it and hear it and do it. And I love that. I don't know if you guys noticed that Todd shared with you a pattern that is similar to the Daily Dime, but on steroids. Did you notice that? It is like the Daily Dime on steroids. And I'm like, okay, all right, here you go. We've introduced the Daily Dime to you. Now I would commit and invite you guys to actually do it because next week, before we record anything, before I share with you the technique of the week, we're going to talk about your wins and talk about your experience with this invitation. As Todd said, we're going to send that doc out to you so you can have it. You can have the recording as well. So many great quotes. So two things. Two things. I want you to raise your hand if you have a question or a comment for Todd. I would love to hear some of your takeaways, the gold nuggets, the gold nuggets that you're like, boom, this landed for me. And so I want you guys to raise your hand and share some of those things and ask any questions that you have for Todd. I have some questions that I'm going to ask if we have time at the very end here, but don't think that 11 o'clock is like a permanent cutoff. We may be able to stay a minute or two after. But Gina, I'll be quiet. Please jump on here. Tell us your takeaway and ask your question.
Okay, so I know the power of the mind and the power of visualization, and I've been doing that for a while. And as a transformation life and business coach, I have a program where one of our pillars is on self-care and self-love. And so we go through that process of, okay, we need to look ourselves in the mirror and love ourselves and tell ourselves that. But that 10 times more impressionable on self-image subconsciously, I did not know that. And that is something I will now add into that pillar.
Oh, that's
That is powerful. And I realized, like, I listen to like a money playlist when I'm driving or whatever to an event or whatnot. And there's one where she like has you put your name in. And I'm like, it is so powerful. And
yeah.
I just had never put two and two together, but now I get it. So thank you. Yeah, this was amazing.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for the work you're doing. That sounds amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gina, for the takeaway. If anyone else raise your hand, here's the question I have for you, Todd. You just quickly, glazed over your story. And so you talked about these three things that we tell ourselves and the lies that we tell ourselves. I'm not good enough. I can't connect because I'm different. The third one was what?
Ultimately, something's wrong with me.
Something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
So and so then you gave us the solution as well. Tell us a little bit how you discovered those things and how you implemented them in your own journey in becoming.
Yeah, I often say this because it's true. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. That's why I'm here today. These giants in my life showed me the way, Griff. You know, I was broken. And what I mean by that, I was broken with the story I was telling myself. I believed I looked funny. I believed I was a loser. I had a basketball scholarship, guys, in my hand, full ride, and I lost it because I was getting high.
Mm.
And I had so much shame that I just didn't want to be here anymore. And you guys know, the shame is the crippler. It's a form of victim stance. I'm not, I'm just a bad person, and that's what I believed. And if it wasn't for these guys and gals that took me under their wings and showed me the way, um, my issue was the story I kept telling myself. But yet I kept going, well, no, but I've actually been through all this. They're like, yeah, we understand that, but what if what you went through happened for you? And that's when I really started to make a shift in my journey of eventually of recovery and then eventually moving on and living my life was how can I look at what I went through was actually a gift and not a curse? And that's was early on, and I give credit to the mentors in my life. I had no clue what I was doing. I just finally started to listen. You know, one of the best definitions of surrender is coming over to the winning side. And that's what I did, Griff. I finally surrendered to what these people had been telling me over and over. And I kept fighting it because I know better and I've got an ego and I've got pride and I didn't have the answers. But when I finally surrendered, like, okay, this guy is living a life that I want to do, or this woman's living a life that I want, I'm going to listen to what they're doing. And I started just following that. And so early on, I luckily caught that vision of, okay, do what they do. Michael Jordan was asked, who can beat you one on one, Kobe Bryant or LeBron James? Without hesitation, he said Kobe Bryant. And they're like, why? And he goes, because he stole all my moves. And I think that's what it is. I look at what, these amazing people on the call today who are doing good things, just like we heard a minute ago. It's like, I want to do what you do. I mean, you're living a good life. Griff, I want to follow what you do. And so early on in my recovery, I just started following people that I looked up to, and they seemed happy and they seemed to have some things figured out. And I started practicing those things that they did. And then I witnessed them for myself. So,
I love that. The highest form of adoration is emulation. And it's like, okay, you know what? Let's just be aware, open up our eyes and be aware of all the good around us instead of all the things that are going bad. I love this. This is just ringing so true to me. Anthony, please jump on, my brother. Question or breakthrough or gold nugget that you want to share.
Hey, yeah, I do have to share, but I know Mama D has one. I saw her hand up first,
We'll
so
we'll, we'll
I'm
get
gonna,
to
I'll,
Mama
I'll let
D.
her
Go
go.
ahead.
I'll let her go. Okay. Thank you for your time today. That was really incredible, and I think that like the breakthrough for me is, we hear the importance of these things, right? But it's like without the consistency and the practice and the work behind it, like you're not going to be able to, reap what you sow per se. And then
Yeah.
I got to see the Michael Jackson movie last week, and
Okay.
he's got his affirmations and he's saying them to himself before he's about to record. And I was getting goosebumps just watching him, the actor, portray that. So I thought that that's just cool how it all kind of comes back together like this.
Nice. Nice. Thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. And thanks for being on here with us today.
Thanks, Anthony. Mama D, unmute yourself and share with us your breakthrough, your comment, or your question for Todd. Oh, I love it. Mama D is trying to find the mute button.
Okay, did I do it?
You did it. You did it, Mama D.
Now I'm trying to find you all. Okay, well, if I don't, sure, I would love to find y'all. Okay, maybe I'll find you. Okay.
There you go.
Well, okay, I'll just tell it.
Yes.
Um, First of all, thank you so much. I have lived by so much of that all my life and didn't have control over living by it. Now I've learned it all my life and didn't have the control to live by it. But come Saturday, I'll have 37 years clean from drugs and alcohol.
Wow.
And and I
Amazing.
started drinking as young as I can remember. I started drinking at 4 years old. My mom was a barmaid, and I used to take their drinks as they were sitting around and hold them up and drink them. I might not even been four, but I can remember them saying, "Look how that baby could hold her liquor."
Wow.
And when I grew up and became an alcoholic, it was like, you need to quit doing that. It's mind over matter. And I had to have my gym shoes on because when I said this, I had to run out the house. But I said, I have no mind and nothing matters.
Wow.
And truthfully, I didn't mean that. That was just rebelling against my mother. And I didn't even think I will have 37 years Saturday. And I want to help anybody I can. If you could get my number, give it to them. It doesn't matter. I know the beast that lives in us. And that's it. Now I'll find y'all back.
Wow. Mama D, thank you for sharing that. Wow, that's powerful. Congratulations on your success. And again, you and I are one of the lucky ones. We made it through that, luckily, because a lot of people don't make it through that, and I understand that. So, but I love your passion. Thanks for being emotional and vulnerable with us right now. And I have so much respect for you to be here today. And you just made my day. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes, thanks, Mama D. By the way, another thing my son taught me as a young boy, he's like, Dad, my eyes are sweaty. My eyes are sweaty. They've
Yeah,
sweated a couple times today, and so thank you for sharing. One last thing here, Todd, before you go.
yeah,
Oh, I think we need to have you on again. I think we need to have you on again so we can have you share some more gold nuggets and whatnot. You talked about being a masterful creator, and perhaps next time you come on, I'd love for you to
yeah,
go into depth with like being that creator and how you have allowed your creator to help you create and that connection there.
sure.
Before we have Jane share with us her question, her comment to the here, and we let everyone go and let you go. Thank you for your time again, Todd. Before we have Jane share with us her question, her comment, how can people get a hold of you if they want to if they want a little bit more Todd Sylvester?
Yeah, thank you for letting me have that opportunity. So you guys can email me at todd@toddinspires.com. I have a toddinspires.com website you can go to that kind of has all the information on what I'm doing. Yep, I have a book on there, national bestseller. You can also get a link from my website to my podcast. I call it a belief cast. I have 480 episodes. We've been going 8 years. We're ranked in the top 100 in mental health in the world. I think you guys would love it. It's just one story after another of astonishing people such as yourself. Um, so yeah, I would love to hear from you. Shoot me an email and or my number is 801-870-4412. You can shoot me a text. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Love it. We'll get you that. We'll get you that information, you guys. If you weren't able to write it down, Jane.
Also, real quick, also, Griff, I'm going to send you the breakdown of those 5 things. And
Mhm.
if you get it to your team, I'll email that to you so they have that as a follow-up.
Awesome. Perfect. I love that. Jane.
There might be a question in here, but it's definitely a comment and a gratitude. I'm in the middle of a challenge that is repeated through my life type challenge that I recognized I have a deeper level of a story than I thought. And
Mm,
I have been approaching this challenge with some education. And today I realized probably not enough doing and repeating where that beautiful list comes in to help me change that story at a deeper level.
yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I'm just really grateful. I've been saying to myself, okay, I'm wanting a miracle from God, but I know He wants me to participate. What is it I get to do on my own to help this miracle be viable and all that I need it to be? And and today was a beautiful answer for that of things that I can do right now, in addition to someone last night saying, Jane, you've got to journal. You've got to journal everything. You've got to record everything. You've got to even recreate the things you didn't record. And today, I know it's at a deeper level. It's with my attraction and my beliefs.
Mhm.
And so this is beautiful to help me to go to that internal place to change the environment of what's happening.
Wow. Well, beautifully said, Jane. Thank you so much for sharing that. Repetition deepens the impression, or in other words, repetition creates the new neural pathway. And what they found about repetition is that repetition takes anything from our short-term memory and puts it into our long-term memory. That's how we learn. Think about we can all sing the ABC song. Well, how did we learn that? We sang it over and over. We repeated it. And there's this beautiful rule, the 2190 rule. It takes 21 days to create a habit, 90 days to create a lifestyle. So we woke up today not going, hey, what's the ABC song? We have it, it's in our long-term memory. Why? Because we sang it well past 90 days. So to your point, thank you for sharing and stick with it and you'll see the miracle happen. It's pretty cool.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yep.
Todd, thank you so much, my friend. You guys, thank you for showing
Yep.
up. We will see you next week as we share another technique of the week. And and so again, next week we are going to be talking about the wins and how you implemented this list this invitation that Todd gave to all of us. You guys, thanks again for showing up. Have a good week.
Thanks,
Love
you.
you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.